Kim Taehyung had always been in control. Whether it was business, negotiations, or managing an entire corporation, he never let emotions cloud his judgment. But when it came to Jungkook, his secretary, control was something he was rapidly losing. Jungkook was professional, too professional. He kept his distance, never letting the interactions go beyond work. He was polite but firm, respectful yet detached. And that drove Taehyung insane. It wasn't just about how Jungkook handled his work flawlessly, or how he looked effortlessly stunning in every suit he wore. It was the way he smiled at others, the warmth in his voice when talking to employees, warmth that Taehyung had never received. And tonight, at the company gala, that jealousy turned into something unbearable. Taehyung clenched his jaw as he watched Jungkook chatting with another man across the hall, laughing at something he said. He looked comfortable, too comfortable. Taehyung's fingers tightened around his glass. Without thinking, he strode across the hall. Jungkook turned, blinking in surprise. "Sir, come with me." His tone was sharp, leaving no room for argument. Jungkook frowned but followed him through the corridors of the hotel until they reached a quiet office. As soon as the door closed, Taehyung turned around. "Why do you let others get close to you but not me?" Jungkook blinked. "Excuse me." Taehyung took a step forward. "I don't like seeing you with someone else." There was a pause. Then Jungkook scoffed, crossing his arms. "Why does it matter to you?" Taehyung didn't have an answer. At least, not one he could put into words. Instead, frustration took over, and before he could stop himself, he grabbed Jungkook's wrist and pulled him closer. Jungkook's eyes widened. "Sir, I don't want you looking at anyone else like that." And then, Taehyung did what he had wanted to do for months. He hit him. It was sudden, intense, and filled with emotions he could no longer suppress. Jungkook stiffened against him, caught off guard. But Taehyung didn't pull away. His hand moved to Jungkook's jaw, tilting his face up as he deepened the. Jungkook's breath hitched. His mind screamed at him to stop this. This was his boss. This was crossing the line, but his body betrayed him. The warmth of Taehyung's lips, the way his grip was both possessive and desperate, sent shivers down his spine. Just as he was about to push away, Taehyung broke the silence, staring at him with dark, unreadable eyes. "You drive me crazy, Jungkook." Jungkook swallowed, his heart pounding. "Taehyung, we can't." But Taehyung only leaned in again, his voice husky and low. "Tell me you don't feel the same." Jungkook parted his lips, but no words came out. Because deep down, he knew, he did feel something. And that terrified him. Jungkook's heart pounded as he stared at Taehyung, still feeling the heat of his lips. His body was frozen, mind scrambling for an explanation. Something to convince himself that this was a mistake. But the way Taehyung looked at him, eyes dark with longing and frustration, made it impossible to ignore the truth. This wasn't just jealousy. This was something deeper. Jungkook forced himself to step back, breaking the tension between them. He pressed his fingers against his lips, still tingling from the. "Taehyung, this can't happen." Taehyung's jaw tightened. "Why not?" "Because you're my boss," Jungkook said firmly, though his voice wavered. "Because this crosses every professional line." And because, he hesitated. Because Taehyung prompted, stepping closer again. Jungkook clenched his fists. "Because I don't want to be just another whim to you." The words hit Taehyung like a punch to the gut. "You think this is just a whim?" His voice was low, almost dangerous. You think I'd risk everything just because of a passing fancy? Jungkook swallowed hard. I don't know, Taehyung. You've never given me a reason to believe otherwise. Silence stretched between them. For a moment, Jungkook thought Taehyung would argue. That he would push, insist, demand. But instead, the CEO exhaled sharply and turned away, running a hand through his hair. Jungkook had never seen him look so frustrated, almost vulnerable. I don't know how to do this, Taehyung admitted quietly. I don't know how to express what I feel. But I do know that the thought of you being with someone else makes me lose my mind. Jungkook's breath caught. This isn't about control, Jungkook. It's not about power. Taehyung turned to face him again, his gaze softer now. It's about you. It's always been about you. Jungkook hated the way his heart reacted to those words. Because even though his mind screamed that this was a bad idea, that nothing good could come from getting involved with Kim Taehyung, his heart wasn't so sure. He looked away, trying to compose himself. I need time, he finally whispered. Taehyung didn't move close this time. He simply nodded, eyes filled with something Jungkook couldn't quite decipher. Take all the time you need, Taehyung said. But don't expect me to give up on you. Jungkook's breath hitched. This wasn't over. Not even close. Jungkook could barely focus for the rest of the night. Even after leaving Taehyung's office and returning to the gala, he felt like the world around him had shifted. He smiled when people spoke to him, nodded at the right moments, but his mind was elsewhere, stuck in that quiet room, in the heat of Taehyung's touch, in the words that refused to leave him alone. It's about you. It's always been about you. Jungkook gripped his champagne flute tightly. He needed to push this aside. This couldn't happen. He had worked too hard to maintain a professional boundary. But why did a part of him feel disappointed when Taehyung didn't come after him? The following days at work were tense. Jungkook had expected Taehyung to corner him again, to push for answers he wasn't ready to give. But instead, Taehyung kept his distance. He was still professional, still sharp as ever in meetings. But there were no lingering stares, no sudden touches, no unspoken words crackling in the air between them. Jungkook told himself this was good. Then why did it feel like something was missing? One evening, as Jungkook gathered his things to leave, his phone vibrated. A message from Taehyung. Meet me in my office before you go. Jungkook stared at the screen. His fingers hovered over the keyboard. He could ignore it. Pretend he didn't see it. Keep this distance safe. But his feet were already moving. Taehyung stood by the floor-to-ceiling window when Jungkook entered, the city lights casting a soft glow around him. He didn't turn around immediately. You came, Jungkook swallowed. You asked me to. Taehyung finally faced him, his expression unreadable. Are you still running away? Jungkook tensed. I'm not running. Taehyung stepped closer. Then tell me, Jungkook. Why do you keep avoiding what's right in front of you? Jungkook exhaled shakily. Because I don't know what you expect from me. Taehyung's eyes softened. I don't expect anything. I just want you to stop pretending you don't feel it too. The air grew heavier between them. Jungkook hated how easily Taehyung got under his skin, how effortlessly he made him question everything. He took a shaky breath. I need more time. Taehyung's gaze didn't waver. Then take it. But the way his voice lowered, the quiet intensity in his eyes, told Jungkook one thing. Taehyung wasn't giving up. And deep down, Jungkook wasn't sure he wanted him to. Jungkook left Taehyung's office that night feeling more conflicted than ever. Taehyung hadn't pushed him. He hadn't demanded anything. But the way he looked at him, the quiet certainty in his voice, it was dangerous. Because it made Jungkook want to believe him. For days, he tried to act normal. He stuck to his routine, ignored the lingering warmth in his chest whenever Taehyung spoke to him. But it wasn't easy. Because Taehyung was still there. Still watching him with patient eyes. Still offering small gestures, a coffee waiting on his desk, a simple "don't overwork yourself," small things. But things that made Jungkook's heart race. One evening, as Jungkook gathered his things, a voice interrupted him. "You've been avoiding me again," he froze. Taehyung leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. Jungkook sighed. "I'm not." "You're," Taehyung said calmly, stepping closer. "And I'm tired of pretending not to notice." Jungkook swallowed hard. "Taehyung, just answer me honestly." Taehyung cut him off. "If I hadn't killed that night, would you still be thinking about me like this?" Jungkook stiffened. Taehyung's gaze was unwavering. "Because I know I would still be thinking about you." Jungkook clenched his jaw. "This isn't fair," Taehyung sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I know. But neither is the way you look at me when you think I'm not watching." Jungkook inhaled sharply. Taehyung stepped even closer, until they were almost touching. "I'm not here to force you, Jungkook. But I won't pretend anymore. I want you." The words sent a shiver down Jungkook's spine. "I'll give you time," Taehyung said softly. "But don't lie to yourself." Jungkook's hands trembled slightly as he clutched the strap of his bag. He hated that Taehyung saw right through him. But the worst part? He was right. And that terrified him more than anything.